Hi everyone, it's Mark again, and we're going to talk about Russia again. A little bit more of an update. There's some new news, a lot of rumors, some stuff coming out. Sources are sketchy, but there's stuff going on. So the first big one, which is really interesting, and I'm going to kind of unpack this a little bit later here, is the possibility that there's a Russian general who may have helped out Prigozhin and helped him plan this coup attempt. Now, this is a rumor at this point, unconfirmed. U.S. intelligence is working on it, trying to figure out this true. We may never know. But it's really interesting because even if he wasn't involved, rumors can start to undermine a person's abilities and a person's control and power. So, Prigozhin rumors. There's a rumor he's back in Russia negotiating. Negotiating what? They think it's possible he's back there in Russia trying to negotiate the release of his family because Putin took them as hostages. I be honest with you, that's opaque what the status of that is at the moment, but where his whereabouts are, they're questionable. The other thing is that it looks like Prigozhin is consolidating his commanders around him in Belarus. So he's forming up his people around him. And not saying it's going to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time that a Russian exile took out a government. I'm not in the camp yet. I'm going to lay that out a little bit later. So that kind of brings me to that. Let's talk about what makes revolutions work, because frankly, this would be a revolution. And I'm basing this mostly on analysis done by Mike Duncan from the Revolutions podcast, which, by the way, if you haven't listened to it, go look it up. Revolutions podcast, Mike Duncan, go listen to it. And I take away 4 things from his analysis, the 4 things I want to talk about. And he talks about these. I'm ripping this off, but you're going to learn it from me, then go listen to his. It's kind of some ingredients that are necessary, and these are 4 I think are really critical. Triggering event. You got to have man in the street support. You got to have defections from the ruling class to the revolutionaries. And then support from at least some factions of the military. And let's go through that. So, a triggering event. And I know there's potentially a few here that might be it. The one with the attack of the Russians on the Wagner Group in Ukraine. Could that be the triggering event? I'm a little skeptical because typically triggering events are regime soldiers firing on innocent civilians, people getting killed. And these are guys in the field, soldiers, many of them who have been recruited from prisons in Russia. Not sure they have the deep sympathies of the people that's the triggering event that could be bringing about a revolution. You also need that man in the street support. Now, we know that Prigozhin has some support down in Rostov-on-Don, but what about Moscow? I didn't see people come out in the streets in Moscow. And it's pretty much known that he was headed there, but we didn't see that. Defections from the ruling class, the revolutionaries. We've got no obvious evidence yet that anyone within Putin's apparatchik on the civilian side has defected. That they've gone over to Prigozhin or to a faction that wants to take Putin out. Putin has not really surrounded himself with people who are strong free thinkers. They're yes men. They're people who do what he says. Not great people to make a revolution out of. The last one I talked about, support from some factions of the military. Now, this General Surovikin thing, that could be big news. If Prigozhin turned a general from the Russian military to his side, who, even if he just stood idly by and knew about Prigozhin's plans and did nothing, that's pretty big news. But to be honest with you, I don't see all 4 elements here. And to me, if you don't have all 4 elements, Putin can withstand this and reconsolidate his power. And speaking of consolidating power, so another rumor, although there's some news reports I don't read Russian. I'm going on secondary sources, but apparently an interior minister general has had a serious ATV accident and he's in the hospital in critical condition. And as I say that, that's pretty sus. I mean, people around Putin, they fall out of windows, they fall downstairs, they have ATV accidents. And I would just say, just be prepared for a lot more of suspect accidents going on in Russia. At this point, I think Putin can probably still hold it together. But as I said in my previous video, the next 30 to 90 days are really going to tell and see if his support falls apart. The question is that if his support falls apart, who do those people line up behind? And I don't know if we've got that guy yet in Russia. So that's my opinion on it for the moment. Where I stand, that's a little bit of an update. And have a good day.